What's going on? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to do a video talking about my top 5 GOAT list in the UFC. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to get my top 5 fighters out there, do a little bit of research, fully solidify my top 5 fighters of all time in the UFC organization. If you guys enjoy the UFC breakdown content videos, please leave a like and subscribe. Always, if you guys want to leave a comment down below, I will do my best to respond as fast as possible. And let's get right into the video of my top 5 best UFC fighters of all time. Okay, first off, at number 5, I have Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib has an incredible record of 29-0, and you look at even the best fighters in the UFC, and they do not have they usually have a singular loss on their record or a couple losses on their record, whereas Khabib has absolutely no losses. He won the title against Al Iaquinta, and then he defended it 3 times against Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje, all by submission. Now, Khabib is one of the most energetic, high-motored fighters the UFC has ever seen. He's always in there to get the finish. You look at that Conor McGregor fight, the biggest pay-per-view of all time, where he went in there, he talked so much trash and won that fight handily against Conor McGregor. There has been so much debate if Khabib Nurmagomedov has even lost a round within the UFC. Now, the only reason that he is at number 5 on my list is because that he retired in his prime, not cleaning out the lightweight division. He had Charles Oliveira there still. He never fought Tony Ferguson, even though Tony Ferguson was on the downfall. And yes, I understand that fight was booked like 4 or 5 times, but they were never able to fight. But ultimately, Khabib Nurmagomedov is one of the best MMA fighters and mixed martial artists to ever do it. And truly, I believe that he is a top 5 fighter. Next, at number 4 on my list, I have Jose Aldo Jr. And Jose Aldo is one of the greatest mixed martial artists that the UFC has ever seen. He only has 12 title fights in the UFC, going 8 for 12 in that stint. That is so amazing. He has defenses of his title over people like Chad Mendes, Chen Dong-jun, Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes again, Kenny Florian, Uriah Faber, and Mike Brown winning that title. He is so amazing in that division. And you know what's crazy is he is still going. He just beat Jonathan Martinez at UFC 301. He beat Rob Font, Marlon Vera, and Pedro Munoz. He lost to Merab Dvalishvili, which Merab is one of the best bantamweights currently. But Jose Aldo Jr. used to fight at featherweight, went down to bantamweight to revive his career, and did just that. Jose Aldo Jr. is one of the best fighters the UFC has ever seen, and he has fought the top competition throughout his entire career. He has fought, like I said, he's fought Peter Yan, Max Holloway twice, Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor. He has fought every single person in the UFC, and he has done amazing against them. Easily, Jose Aldo Jr. is worthy of the number 4 spot on my top 5 GOAT list in the UFC. At number 3 on my list, I have the most well-rounded UFC fighter the organization has ever seen, and that is Demetrious Johnson, Mighty Mouse, with his 12 out of 14 title wins in the UFC organization, and one of the best, most technical fighters the sport has ever seen. You thought Mighty Mouse was only good in the ground. He had amazing striking, amazing grappling. Everything was elite, and even that IQ was up there. Demetrious Johnson had a chokehold over that flyweight division for so long, and it just showed how good he was in that division. Every single little thing that he does was with perfection in the flyweight division, and that showed throughout his entire title reign. He beat people in that flyweight division like Joseph Benavidez twice, Henry Cejudo, which he lost to again. He lost to Dominic Cruz in his first time, but he went on a 12 fight consecutive streak title defense in that UFC flyweight division, which not only solidifies him here at that number 3 spot, but if that didn't solidify him, just look at all of his skills that he has. He has one of the craziest submissions where he threw someone in the air and had the jumping armbar into something. I don't even know what to call it. It was so amazing. But Mighty Mouse Demetrious Johnson is one of the greatest UFC fighters the sport has ever seen, and 100% he deserves the number 3 spot on my list. At number 2 on my GOAT list, I have Georges St-Pierre. Georges St-Pierre has 15 title fights within the UFC organization. He has won 13, and he has a 12-fight title win streak. That is something that you would only imagine you could do. Georges St-Pierre has beat the likes of Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, Nick Diaz, Michael Bisping coming off a layoff, probably of a couple years getting back into there and beating Bisping at middleweight. Thiago Alves, Jake Shields, Carlos Condit. He has beat so many names that everyone knows, and ultimately it has made one of the greatest resumes the UFC has ever seen. Georges St-Pierre's style, super, super, super intelligent, super conservative, always knew what to do at the right moment. His IQ was amazing, and ultimately Georges St-Pierre had one of the best legacies in the UFC, and that's why I have him at number 2 on my GOAT list. At number 1, you could only imagine Mr. John Bones Jones. Now, he has some off the out of the octagon things that could rebuke this ranking, but if you just look at his in the octagon status, it is absolutely insane. 16 title fights, and all 15 of those coming at light heavyweight, with 14 of them being wins, one of them being a no contest after he finished Daniel Cormier, but it was found that he was taking a substance, and then beating Cyril Gane at UFC 285 after a massive layoff coming up back from UFC 247 to capture the UFC heavyweight title. John Jones has done absolutely everything in the organization. His record is 27-1, and that only loss, he was destroying Matt Hamill, and he threw an illegal 12-6 elbow, which was, still illegal at the time, and that ultimately cost him his perfect record. But he has beat the likes of Lyoto Machida, Shogun Rua, Chael Sonnen, Alexander Gustafsson twice, Glover Teixeira, Daniel Cormier once with the no contest a second time, Thiago Santos, like I said, Dominic Reyes, Cyril Gane, and yes, the Dominic Reyes fight was super, super, super close, and a lot of people think that Dominic Reyes won that fight, but still, John Jones did enough ultimately to get the win in that fight. John Jones has done every single little thing in the UFC and has crafted a legacy that only everyone could wish. He is one of the most well-rounded fighters. He also has a style to where it is super fun to watch. When he was younger, he used to throw flying knees, spinning elbows. The Lyoto Machida submission, the headlock guillotine, was absolutely insane. And he has done so many things that fighters wish they could do in the UFC organization. And that is ultimately why I have John Jones at number 1 on my UFC GOAT list. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fights is MMA. If you guys agree or disagree with my GOATs list, please leave a comment down below. It was Khabib Nurmagomedov at 5, Jose Aldo at 4, Demetrius Johnson at 3, Georges St-Pierre at 2, and John Jones at 1. Also, while you're down there, please hit the subscribe button so you guys can get notified and come back for content whenever it drops. And thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA. I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.